Welcome into the 49th edition of the Cleveland Sports Realm. That's right, 49th, in honor of the Browns' rookie stud linebacker Carson Schlesinger. I'm Jerome, that's Kevin, and welcome back. It's been a long time since he's been here, but we haven't forgot about him, and he's still got some great Steelers takes to fire off to you folks. Welcome back in, Steelers superfan Nate Martin to the program. Nate, how are you?
Great, guys. Happy to be back in the studio with Kevin and first episode with Jerome. So.
That's right. It's good to be with you as well, Nate. It's good to discuss some football with you, which we'll get to here in a little bit. Then, of course, our friend and yours, producer Derek, is behind the camera. All right, we're going to get into the football. We got plenty of it to discuss, the college, the NFL, all that. We're going to get there a little bit down the line, but let's put a bow on that Guardians baseball season first. What do you think, fellas?
Yeah, I think we start there.
All right, well, let's do it. So, let's get to, first of all, we'll talk about the series that did take place, and that is the Tigers did beat Tigers did beat the Guardians 2-1 in the wild card round. I was there for one of the games. Nate, you were there for one of the games. Unfortunately, Kevin, you were unable to make it. Nate, you were there when the Tigers did move on. So seeing them celebrate on our field couldn't have been all that fun. But anyhow, that's what did happen. Guys, my first question to you, and I think it's got to, in my opinion, I'll let you guys sound off. Do you think this takes some shine off of the, some shine and some gloss off of the 15.5 game comeback to win the division?
I think it personally does, and the only reason I say that is because you lost to the team that you came back on. And, we saw all those different videos of people kind of mocking Tarek Skubal with the under-the-leg throw and a bunch of different Tigers fans, and karma just kind of ended up coming back and biting us in the ass. And, I mean, you can even go back to, 2016. This isn't the first time this has happened with Cleveland fans. Us kind of showboating on the Warriors fans. They blew a 3-1 lead. What happens 5 months later? The Indians blow a 3-1 lead in the World Series. So I think, some Cleveland fans just have to have a little bit of humility sometimes and know, based off of just Cleveland sports history in general, that showboating before the end goal typically doesn't go too well for us. So, I do think it takes some shine and gloss away.
Nate.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think it's tough, chasing the Tigers for the entire last month of the year. Obviously, the last regular season series against the Tigers, it was such a thrill. It was so exciting. So I agree in some regard. It's disappointing to lose to that team when you really felt like you had their number. But at the same time, as people that have watched, this team the entire year, I think, the run at the end was somewhat unexpected.
And an understatement.
Just looking, and just looking at the lineup, I don't think, most of us really thought this team was going to be able to score enough to win in the playoffs. So I would say it's disappointing, but not surprising.
Yeah, I think it's even kind of crazy that this team even had a 500 record, let alone above 500, just looking at that lineup and how the pitching just had to carry us for 162 games. It's kind of a miracle this team even was in this position. But when you get there and when you come back from 15.5 games down, I think at that point you do put some expectations, or the fans at that point do have some expectations for, okay, we're going to beat the team we came back on, have dominated them for the last, 10, 15 years, this team. And it does kind of go back. I've made this comparison before of how the Steelers had dominated the Browns from basically the time the Browns came back up until 2018, 2020-ish. And eventually the little brother's going to end up beating Big Brother. And I was worried that eventually it was going to come back around with the Tigers beating the Indians or Guardians. And, of course, it happened. But it just kind of took me back to that 2020 playoff game of the Browns beating the Steelers. And it was the one place we couldn't beat them, the one team we couldn't get past. And then finally it happened. And I was worried that eventually it was going to happen with the Tigers and Tribe. And unfortunately it did.
Well, that's right. And another thing that I wanted to say about that, too, was, you chase them, and it had to be in their heads too, because, the Tigers, obviously, like we talked about this on last week's show, the Guardians could have done that, but it takes two to tango. Like, they could have had this historic September run, but had the Tigers kept winning, it wouldn't have meant a damn thing.
Right.
It wouldn't have meant anything, and you probably still would have been on the outside looking in at the playoffs. So you get in there, and then it's like, to me, as a Guardians fan, though, it still has the same disappointment as it normally does in every year of my life that they get there, and they get there a lot, quite frankly. 7 out of the last 10 seasons, they've gotten there. But to me, the fact that you got there and once again you couldn't do anything, and I know this team stunk. They didn't have much talent. They were baseball's been played since practically the Civil War, right? And these guys had the worst playoff average ever of a playoff team. And I think, now it reemphasizes again, and I hate to keep going to the old notion, get these guys some help. Get some bats, and they're again probably not going to do that. And that's where you get frustrated as a fan, because it's like, okay, if you always do what you always did, you're always going to get what you always got, right? And so since outside of 2017, that was 8 years ago, it's like, well, they spent money then. Who cares? It's 2025. Spend a damn dollar, and you'll be able to get somewhere in the playoffs. And to me, as a fan, it's just super frustrating, like the whole thing. Like, I was really, really down and out last Thursday. I actually hung out with both of you guys, and you know that I was. And it's only because I know what's coming in the future. They're probably going to have another good year next year. It's not going to shock anybody if they win the AL Central, and they're going to get bounced again because they're not going to do anything to improve the team. And I get it. The owner's not going to let you spend money. We know that. That's been a well-documented thing here over time. But, guys, maybe make a trade. You have a bagillion middle infielders. Use them. Go get a controllable bat or something. And that leads us to our next topic of conversation. Jose Ramirez, a podcast has come out. Many Guardians fans inside of myself, it was done in all Spanish, raced to translate it. And with the help of AI and other technological tools we have nowadays, I translated it, and the gist of it was he's not happy. Now, this was supposedly came out in March. It doesn't matter when it came out. He said what he said, and if he felt that way in March, it's only going to be doubled down now here in October. He said what he said. He's getting frustrated, and he was promised if he took a discount, they'd go out and spend money. Meanwhile, every year since he took that discount, the payroll's gone down, 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 down. So he's upset, and you lose that guy, you lose the fan base, good luck. You're screwed.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting position, especially, Jose Ramirez, everybody was flabbergasted when he took that discount anyway. So it was under the assumption, I think, before, the front office didn't really say anything about it. Ownership didn't say anything about, he took this deal because we plan on spending the money that we saved off of going and getting bats to help the offense. I think it kind of went without saying that was probably why he took that deal, and why I think everybody thought, or what everybody thought the Guardians were going to do. And of course they just didn't do it. They're still relying on, they traded a great bat in Josh Naylor. And yeah, Slade Ciccone had a pretty decent year for us, absolutely. But I'd rather have a cleanup hitter now than Slade Ciccone. So it is frustrating, and it wouldn't have taken much to keep Naylor here. Even Jimenez, I know he didn't have that great of a year for the Blue Jays. I know he's
hitting in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, hitting in the playoffs, batting ninth. The speed on the base paths, great defense. Still someone I would have loved to have on this team. Instead, what's going to be pitched this offseason is, DeLauder looked good in the postseason. He's going to be our corner outfielder. Bazana, number one pick. If he starts, he looked pretty decent in the minors this year. Number one pick. He's going to fill in at probably second base. I want to see him starting opening day with Rocchio at short, and I'm done with the Gabriel Arias experiment.
Please end our misery on that one.
And then I'm pretty intrigued to see what's going to happen with Lane Thomas. I know, Jerome, you said going out and getting a bat, and we did do that last trade deadline to get Lane Thomas, and I know he didn't have a great post-trade deadline regular season, but he was an amazing player for us in the postseason, played pretty decent defense for us, even great defense, I would say, for us. And I think he's a guy that you plug in right into the middle of that lineup. If Bazana starts hitting, DeLauder starts hitting, all of a sudden that lineup gets a little bit deeper. Now let's go and actually spend some more money. Let's get maybe a true shortstop, or somebody who's a true first baseman. Kafis can finally fill in that utility role. That's a corner outfielder, first baseman type. Schneemann, he's a full-time utility guy. Roles they should be in. I think that's the way that this organization has to take this offseason.
Nate?
Yeah, I think you guys make a lot of good points. I think it's not rocket science. The obvious question is, are they going to be able to find a middle-of-the-lineup anchor to support Jose Ramirez? And I think it's not ridiculous to think that some of these young guys, Kefis, Manzardo, can get better. DeLauder, I wouldn't be surprised, to hear his name tossed out in AL Rookie of the Year. Bazana, obviously, although I would be surprised if he makes it to the opening day roster.
I don't see that happening myself.
I'd be surprised too, but it'd be awesome to see.
Right, but at some point you would expect to have him in the 26th season. So I think they do have some pieces here, but I think it's a fool's errand to expect this team to spend money at this point. And I think, Kevin, to your point, I think the whole Jose Ramirez podcast thing, it really makes some of the moves they made last season interesting, like with that context. I mean, I wasn't mad that they didn't keep Naylor either because, concerns in the postseason, concerns about his weight. Jimenez, was the last year to get out of that deal. But, you're promising your star player who you've got on a discount that you're going to make this team competitive. And, you're just not seeing that indicated in the moves every offseason. So.
Right, and I think it's the inevitable we all want to deny. He's been the pillar of Cleveland baseball for the last decade, but he just turned 33 years old. I mean, and I know this is something that none of us want to face in the facts, but it is Father Time gets everybody, right? Like, we watched it firsthand happen and eat away at Carlos Santana this year. I mean, he was just not close to the same player he was when he was here 4 years ago. You watch it and you wonder how many more years does he have to offer you 30-plus home runs, 40-plus stolen bases, driving in between 80 and 120 and hitting between 280 and 290. Obviously, in my opinion, watching him his whole career, if there's anyone I believe that can still play it that way, well into their mid to late 30s, it'd be him. But it's something that, unfortunately, you have to look at and start looking at and saying, I don't know how much that clock is ticking, and I think it's going to start ticking faster.
I think if I were to put a number on it, I'd say probably 2 more years of elite production. I think 3 years would be on the optimistic side, but I could see it that way. I think 4 years is a pipe dream.
Yeah.
We also mentioned in that podcast interview that even if Father Time doesn't get to him, the 2028 contract negotiations are going to be much different. So if they can't show him that they're willing to support him on this team, he's going to want to get paid, and they're not going to be willing to cough up more than they are right now. So,
I think you start running into that problem with Jose. The older he gets, like, how much more is he going to want to DH? How much are we going to have to actually try to fill in maybe a full-time third baseman role to make sure that he's in the lineup every day at DH? And then what does that do? That worsens the defense at first base because then you want Manzardo's bat in the lineup.
Right.
So they've got a bunch of conundrums that they got to try to figure out right now.
Well, that's absolutely right. And to your point, to both of you guys are both making excellent points. And
are you.
I agree with everything that's coming out of you guys' mouths. And the thing is, too, like you just said, he said that the 2028 is going to be a lot different. And I don't blame him. And I don't think if he decided, let's say hypothetically, they don't do anything this offseason, which is probably going to happen. We all know, unfortunately. Let's say they don't lift a finger. He decides, you know what? I'm waiving my no trade. Move me now. I don't think everything he's done for this franchise, I don't think any Cleveland fan would hold anything against him. And it would be more or less, go ahead. Go win a World Series. You deserve it. You've given everything to this organization. Go.
Yeah, I don't think the fans would hold anything against him either, and then it would suck from the Guardians' standpoint because, he can waive the no-trade clause, but he has to do it for a team that he wants. So there's not even a guarantee that we get the haul that we would want for Jose Ramirez if that time were to come.
No, and I think, he's been patient. He's been more patient than just about any other athlete would be in this era. Across the board, across sports. And you found one of one in order to take that discount and put up with the crap that he's put up with.
And you're still taking advantage of him. Exactly. If I'm Ramirez, I am calling up ownership and front office this offseason and saying, this is what I want. Make it happen. Or move me.
And if they decide, which they'll probably take the alternative, and it'll be a PR nightmare for him. It'll be an absolute disaster.
Did we ever find out, because if I remember correctly, they were pretty close to dealing him to Toronto. Did we ever?
It was San Diego, I believe.
Are you sure it was San Diego?
I think it was San Diego.
I think Toronto was definitely. For some reason,
Toronto
I remember
was
the Blue
in the
Jays being
mix.
involved.
They were in the
Okay.
mix, but they were nailing the contract out, and it was on the bus on the way to Kansas City opening day of 2022. The whole team was on the bus, and it was him, owner Paul Dolan, and his agent wasn't even there, supposedly, and it was GM, president of
Sure.
baseball ops, Chris Antonetti, and Antonetti had a deal worked out with the Padres, and he said basically if they had not gotten to that contract extension they would have, they were dealing them before opening day that year.
Yeah, I believe that.
And it's just a disaster. And so you look at it, guys, listen, they have a lot of money coming off the books, and if according to MLB trade rumors, with the arbitration raises, what they have, plus on top of that, the guaranteed money they have on the books for next year, their payroll right now, if they kept everybody who's here with arbitration raises, it would project to be $60 million. You spent $100 million this year. That gives you, if you want to spend to where you did last year, that gives you $40 million in flexibility. They got to spend at least that $40 million, I think, at minimum, to keep him at bay, keep Ramirez at bay.
I think at minimum, and it's the biggest gripe with these small market clubs is that, they were lucky that they signed Jose to a long-term deal. But the reality is most of these teams are not going to spend in the majority of years. You think of any of these small market teams. But when you have a window and you have Jose Ramirez, you have him for 3 more seasons, you need to spend in those years to make your team relevant, to reward the fans. I mean, everybody knows how much this town loves baseball. It's been incredibly evident over the last month. I don't understand why these owners refuse to do it. You're going to make your value back in every other year. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like when you have a window, as somebody who watches the Pirates as well, it's like, I look at a team like that with the talent they have, with Skeens. It's like, why can't you spend for 2 or 3 seasons while you have this guy, make yourself relevant, and recoup all that money when he goes? You know what I mean? You can't hold on to these players forever. So I just think it gets more and more frustrating every year. You have this type of talent and you refuse to build around it.
Oh, absolutely. And we talked about Jerome, it was probably last week, maybe even 2 weeks ago, about how we wouldn't even really consider the Dolans bad owners up until like the last five-ish years probably, because they did, like in 2016 they were 1 game short of winning the World Series. They blew the 3-1 lead, as I mentioned earlier, and that offseason they went out and spent $60 million to bring in Edwin Encarnacion to really shore up that lineup. And it was like, okay, they found the window. Nate, what you were just saying, it's like, let's go out and get the best free agent available and let's get that power bat. They did. Obviously it didn't work out, but you can appreciate the effort in seeing that this is our window and we got to take advantage of it.
Right, and that was because they had a minority owner who, was willing to write the check. It still wasn't the Dolans, because as soon as he went and bought the Royals, then all of a sudden they couldn't spend any more money. And Nate, to your point, these small market owners, I think, as us as average everyday working men, in this studio, whether it's on the producer side or in front of the camera, as a sports fan, I am beyond sick and tired of hearing billionaires tell me how broke they are. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm sick of it. We spend our hard-earned money on you, and we don't have the disposable income you do. And for you to, when at the few times that you do step in front of a camera, because most of them hide, behind their managers and their president of baseball ops and all that, they hide, and you hear from them every 3 years. And when they do crawl back to the surface, all you hear about is how broke they are. We don't want to hear that. We spend thousands of dollars on you every year. Give us something in return. We don't want to hear about broke billionaires anymore. Sick of it. Done with it.
Well, we're not asking you to be the Yankees either, or
No,
any
exactly.
other of these big market teams. It's like this team could use 2 $15 to $20 million players on it. And you just mentioned it's totally there. The money is there. We know it. So it just gets frustrating as a fan to not see them want to put a better product on the field.
Yeah, just give me a $150 million payroll. Just be right in the middle of the pack.
Right. That's all we're asking for. And, I know that, Chris Antonetti had his end of the season press conference yesterday, and he used his usual BS crap line of most of our improvement will be from internal, blah, 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 blah. And then one of the reporters asked him, you've drawn now back-to-back years of 2.1 million fans in that stadium. The fans want to see that money get spent. And he said, and he went on to talk about how great the fans are and refused, So we all see where this offseason's heading. And if number 11 sees the same thing the fans do, which he's not dumb either, he does, this could be a really ugly offseason.
Yeah, I mean, he basically said that in the podcast based off of what you said, off the translation that you read.
Right. So, anyway, well, let's talk about who is still there left in baseball, guys. The Tigers-Mariners series is even up at 2. Who do you guys think is going to win that one? Heading back to Seattle on Friday night, Skubal will be on the mound for Detroit.
It's hard to bet against Skubal, but I just think the Mariners are a better team. I think at some point, whether it's the 6th inning, even beginning of the 7th, if that game's within a run, I think the Mariners take it.
I agree, Nate.
Yeah, I think the way the Tigers have kind of fought back in this series, now to get Skubal on the mound, it's going to be tight down the stretch, but I tend to agree. I think the Mariners were a much better team throughout the season. I think they'll probably finish it off.
Tigers were down 2-1, backs against the wall today. Mariners jump out to a 3-0 lead, and the Tigers come back 9 unanswered and win that 9-3. That's, like we said, going to go to Game 5. Dodgers-Phillies tonight. By the time this podcast is released tomorrow, I think the Phillies are heading to Cancun and the Dodgers are heading to the championship series. Any disagreement there?
No, at least not from me.
Nate?
No, I said it in the car ride over. I think it was tough for the Phillies to have a 96-win season and then have to go up against that Dodgers team that is a juggernaut.
Oh, it absolutely, and it's crazy that team was a wild card team. The Dodgers. I mean, it's an all-star lineup, Jerome.
Absolutely. Tonight, Aaron Judge flips the series on its head in the Bronx last night. We talked about it before we started off the air, guys. I don't know many other players in baseball right now that are hitting that pitch out for a 3-run homer. Fastball 100 miles an hour in on the hands. He flips it around for a game-tying home run. You got to feel that Toronto's almost – the Yankees have the momentum going into tonight with Cam Schlittler on the mound, who's been outstanding as a rookie. Do the Yankees complete the comeback, though? Do they win tonight, then go win in Toronto on Friday? I don't know. I'm torn on this one. What say you guys?
I don't know about winning in Toronto because Toronto is the baseball fans in Toronto are amazing, and that
you have a whole country behind you.
Yeah, that atmosphere is awesome in Toronto. It really is. I do think the Yankees. I do think they pull it off tonight. Again, we're recording Wednesday evening. I do think that they pull it out tonight. I'm going to actually take them to win in Toronto. The more I'm thinking about it. I just think too much star power, and going back to that home run, Jerome, from Aaron Judge. As much as I hate the Yankees, it was cool to see him finally have like his playoff moment.
Yes,
finally.
I agree with you. And I think, I don't know if we can for his whole career, but for this year we could put the notion that Aaron Judge doesn't hit in the playoffs to rest, at least for this season.
Yeah, I mean, as of the recording, he's batting over 500, I believe, in the playoffs
he is,
right now.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm going to go ahead and say Toronto. I think Toronto does win Game 5. I think the Yankees win in the Bronx tonight.
Okay.
And then I think Toronto wins Game 5 on Friday. Nate?
Yeah, I would take Toronto in 5. I think it's a tall task for the Yankees to come back, although I will say that home run was incredible. That is the type of thing that can totally flip a series. I'm still going to take Toronto in 5.
All right, and then we got the final division series going on right now. Brewers up 2-0 in the series, but the Cubs, as of right now, it's 7:10 p.m., are up 4-2. I think the Cubs do win today. I actually think the Brewers win in 4. I mean, they got so many arms. They remind me of the Guardians. They can't hit either, but they're hitting like crazy in the playoffs right now. I think the Brewers wrap this up in 4.
I like the Brewers in 4 too as well, actually, for the same reasons you just went over.
Yeah, no disagreement.
All right. So that'll wrap up the baseball portion of this program. We'll obviously continue talking playoffs, and next week we'll obviously have league championship series to talk about. And then eventually another rendition of the World Series, which the Guardians once again will not participate. All right, let's get to the football. Let's start with the pro football. Obviously, Nate here. It's Steelers week, so we're happy to have a Steelers fan here to share and give us a look from the other side, if you will. We'll get to that in a second, in that game coming up. Let's talk first about the Browns and Bengals make a trade. According to Tony Grossi, who's been covering the Browns since 1982, He claims it's the first time the two organizations have ever made a trade. And Joe Flacco, not within a week, loses his job, gone. Now gets the starting job in Cincinnati and gets to play all the teams that the Browns just played, which is super bizarre. He's playing the Packers twice in within 4 weeks. And Joe automatically today by Zach Taylor named the starting quarterback. The Browns in this deal recoup a 5th-round pick, I believe.
Yeah,
and
they also sent a 6th-rounder.
they sent a 6th with Joe. So, and I believe the 6th they sent was never theirs to begin with.
It was Detroit's.
It was the one they got from Zadarius Smith last year. So, bizarre, and I think it kind of shocked a lot of us. First of all, it shocked me because, again, the Browns trading him in division is bizarre. Second of all, I think just as much as it shocked us from the outside, really seemed to shock the coaching staff in the locker room today during player media availability, and also Kevin Stefanski is at his press conference today, was flat out a guy who shows no emotion, does these press conferences like a robot, use the word surprise, which means a lot for him. He doesn't even use adjectives like that normally.
Yeah, and I was surprised seeing it as well. I shouldn't say I was surprised that they traded him. Just judging it, I mean, it seemed like they were going to go with Gabriel and then potentially Sanders down the road anyway this year. Hopefully not. Hopefully Gabriel looks good enough to not force risks up into action. But I wouldn't say that I was shocked that they traded him. I was very surprised that they sent him in division to the Bengals, though. And Joe Flacco, I'm happy he's going to have another starting opportunity, of course, but he's going to go to another organization that has bad offensive line play, but at least his receivers will be a little bit better there. So hopefully he has a little bit more success there, but not enough against the Browns. And I do want to not necessarily correct you, Jerome, but there was almost another trade between the Browns and Bengals involving a quarterback all those years ago.
A.J. McCarron,
we
but
almost
never
got
went through.
But Sashi Brown made sure it didn't go through.
Yeah, the fax machine and the whole theory of that. And
Nate, do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Oh.
The Browns were in talks with the Bengals to acquire A.J. McCarron. They agreed to a deal. I forget who forced the hand. Was it Haslam that wanted him? Probably.
Yeah, then Sashi
Or maybe
Brown,
no. You know what? It was Hugh Jackson.
There was some fax machine issue that
It didn't get to the NFL in time or by the deadline, so the trade was taken off the table.
Yeah, it was bizarre. Who knows what the hell happened? I think Sushi Brown broke the fax machine on purpose. I still think that to this day, but no, it never did go through. So this one did. This
is the first official.
I saw Joe Flacco at the Bengals' shitty, worst practice facility in the NFL today, where they have to literally walk across the street.
Yeah.
And I saw Joe taking the walk today. So, here's my thing about this. Like, the Browns' offensive line is bizarre because the interior is as good as it gets. You got 2 really good guards, and you got a hell of a center. And then your tackles are nothing but turnstiles like they are out at Cedar Point. So, but this Bengals offensive line is even worse than the Browns. At least the Browns have 3/5 of an offensive line. The Bengals have Orlando Brown, and I don't think anybody else noteworthy.
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought they would have went after somebody with a little bit more mobility, having an offensive line like that. But
it's bizarre. Nate?
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily surprised the Browns traded Flacco as I was that the Bengals were interested in him. I mean, for the reasons you said, it just doesn't make sense for them to trade for an old, immobile quarterback behind that offensive line. And I also think the struggles they've been having with Browning in terms of turning the ball over and whatnot, I don't know that Flacco is going to be much better. So I don't think that Flacco didn't succeed with the Browns early this year because of lack of receiving options, although they certainly will be better. So, yeah, it was a little bit perplexing all around.
Well, I'm going to ask you, if you guys sign Joe next offseason, he will then complete the tour of the AFC North.
I pray that does not happen.
Which he technically has played for all cities in the AFC North, because wasn't he the backup at Pitt for a year or two?
He was a starter.
Yeah.
Was he the starter at Pitt?
He was a starter.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe Flacco, I saw somebody yesterday. He's now been on, I think, 8 different teams. Like, this guy has been around now. And, the more and more I think that we get away from 2023, it's an NFL is a what have you done for me lately business. We were obviously excited to have Joe back. I'm not walking that back. We gave him high praise and kudos on this podcast. We were ecstatic.
Yeah.
I still remember the episode when they signed him. We were having a party in here.
Yeah.
But the more and more we get away from that that 6 to 7 game stretch in 2023, the more and more you realize why Joe Flacco wasn't even signed going into the 2023 season. And I think we're at a point where I don't know what this really does for the Bengals. Like, sure, yeah, you can. His arm is still his best strength. And if you protect him, he can absolutely throw a beautiful deep ball to T. Higgins or Jamar Chase or, either of their stud receivers down there. But can this line give him time? We saw Joe try to run in Baltimore against the Ravens earlier this year. It's not pretty. I honest to God, thought CBS was slowing it down in a slow motion replay.
Did you?
It is rough to watch him move now. And I still, from the Browns' point of view, though, even if you were going to trade him, fine, whatever. But now you really have, you have 2 rookies, so you better hope. Bill Musgrave, the quarterback's coach, has got his hands full now because you have 0 veterans in that locker room.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting for sure. And I will say I was relatively, I shouldn't say like extremely impressed, but I did like the way that Gabriel attacked the game against Minnesota this past week. I thought he played a fine game. He didn't turn the ball over, which is basically all Stefanski asks of you. Yep. So I was okay with the way that Gabriel played. Obviously, I'd like to see him have better intermediate and deep passes because it did seem like it was a lot of passes within 6-7 yards of the line of scrimmage. So as long as he opens that up, as long as the Browns offense opens that up, you keep running that stuff, you're going to end up getting pick sixed all day.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to throw in there too to finish off the Flacco trade thing, like I saw that the media talked to Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel today, and both of them were like, Joe was a shoulder to lean on. Like Shedeur's like, I was kind of shocked. He's like, he taught me a lot of stuff. Like, and now you don't have that veteran presence in the room. Who's your veteran presence is Bailey Zappi. What the
baby.
hell?
I was actually impressed with Shedeur Sanders' interview, by the way, when it came to that, because he actually said words. Whoa,
you're going to give Shedeur props?
Because he actually said words and spoke English.
I was just about to ask that. Yeah, that was probably the best part.
Oh. You're still dogging my guy. I was going to say, turn it up, everybody. Stop what you're doing. Kevin's going to compliment him. And then he just
let me finish next time.
Took a reverse dig at the guy. Oh, jeez.
A reverse dig.
But anyway, Nate, as a Steelers fan, are you now thinking anything higher of the Bengals that they have Joe Flacco instead of Jake Browning, or you think about the same?
I was surprised that Jake Browning has played as poorly as he did. I remember
great in 2023.
Exactly. I was honestly not sure that the Steelers would be able to beat the Bengals with Jake Browning, at least in Cincinnati. So, but no, I am not concerned about Joe Flacco in the slightest. That'll maybe come back to bite me later, but no, they are not striking any fear in me after that trade.
Yeah, I don't think they're striking fear in a lot of people. I don't think that trade really did anything for the league, to be honest. It improved the Browns' draft position, I guess, up around, but that's about it.
League-wide, I think that trade shocked a lot of people yesterday. And you wonder if, though, the coaching staff, who obviously we know in the NFL, GMs don't look at this year, you have to win. They're always looking at the future. They're forecasting what's going to happen here and there. The coaches are too involved with stuff day to day. This is a league-wide thing. And the coaches have laser focus on this year. The general managers don't. So you wonder if by doing this, Andrew Berry probably pissed off his coaching staff. I think he might have. From the sounds of it today, I don't think they were too happy out there in Berea with this going down.
Which would be surprising to me because all we've heard is that Berry and Stefanski are hand in hand. They don't really make decisions without each other. So the fact that this move is made, and like you said, Jerome, Stefanski's always pretty stoic. Oh, we got to look at the tape. Oh no, it's just a business transaction. Very broad, very political answers. And for him to come out and say he was surprised, that's surprising in and of itself, just for the fan base to hear that based off of all of his previous press conference answers.
Well, what you have to remember is Kevin Stefanski's in charge of setting that depth chart, but who the dominoes are on that depth chart is provided by Andrew Berry. And
you think they promote Zappi to the active roster and he gets the QB2 role?
I'll be pissed. I will be furious.
I'll be pumped.
Well, Stefanski didn't commit to Shador as the second string
No, he did
quarterback.
not.
So
He did not. But Stefanski doesn't commit to anything. I mean, this is a guy
Unless
who,
it's Deshaun Watson for the last 3 years.
yeah, this is a
No,
guy.
he's our starting quarterback.
And by the way, I don't want to go there today.
The Albatross?
I'm not going there today, but
We might have to bring it up.
it's getting uneasy. I'm getting a pit in my stomach.
I'm starting to think he's going to play this year.
If he plays over Shador Sanders, I'm going to lose it.
No, I actually heard on 92.3 the morning show today, they had discussed, has Shador Sanders earned reps over Deshaun Watson? Absolutely he has.
Yes.
Absolutely. I don't know why we're even talking about this.
Shador Sanders, based on one preseason half alone, has played better for this football team than Deshaun Watson ever did outside of that Baltimore.
Did you
half.
Did you see his game against the Rams in the preseason, Shador?
I'm
3 straight
talking
plays,
about the
negative 25
I'm
yards.
talking about the Panthers game.
Well, if we're picking and choosing games, I'll choose one too.
All right, well, fine. Shador Sanders deserves it. Shador Sanders deserves it over Deshaun
No,
Watson.
he definitely deserves it over Deshaun. I'm telling you right now, if Deshaun Watson takes a snap under center or even in the shotgun, doesn't matter where he's taking the snap, I will not have the Browns game on my television. That's going to be my active protest.
I'm telling you right now, if they want to do it, fine, but you better.
They deserve everything that's coming at them if they put that guy in
Jimmy
the
Haslam,
field.
this is where maybe you got to intervene, because if they are so hell bent on getting him out there again, you better damn sure make sure it's an away game, because you're going to take a massive haircut if it's at home.
Yeah.
Here's all I'll say, and this is not meant as any dig. I know it's a Steelers-Browns week.
Sure.
But these are the conversations of a directionless team. You know what I mean? Seriously, you're talking about
horrible.
now we're going to go back to Deshaun Watson? What is the future? You drafted 2 young quarterbacks. One was extremely high pedigree. The other has played a ton of football, both in high school and college, and Dylan Gabriel. What is the conversation? In my opinion, Deshaun Watson should be done here. I think I would
be done in general.
I would be irate if I were a Browns fan and saw him march back out
dude,
there.
the amount of people that are calling into the radio shows, the radio hosts that are talking about it, nobody wants to see it. Like, nobody does. And
No.
like I said, they deserve everything that's coming to them if they put him out on the football field again. Because I think attendance is going to be in an all-time low. I think the Boo Birds are going to be out in full force. I can't think of one person that would be cheering when they announce him onto that field.
I just told you, if they're going to do it, it has to be an away game.
Well, I can't imagine them just going to him for one game and then he will even if he plays on the road, he will play at Huntington Bank Field again.
I think is maybe, and as dumb as this sounds, maybe Stefanski and Andrew Berry are stupid enough to think that there's something there. This is where I think Jimmy Haslam would intervene and say, guys, you can't do it. Because
I hope so.
And I go back to, and I know it was one quote, but I go back to the NFL annual coaches breakfast, in Orlando or wherever it was this year. And Jimmy Haslam stood in front of national and local media, and I still go to that quote and says, we took a hell of a swing and a miss.
Yeah.
So if you missed, you don't put the miss back out there, for Christ's sake.
Listen, you got the owner saying that they swung and missed. You got the fans booing him as he has a season-ending injury, getting carted off the field. What part of this screams good idea to put him out on the football field again?
Listen.
And he was horrible when he was out there last.
This season's going nowhere. We know that. This season, at this point, there should be nobody, and not even Bailey Zappi, because he's nothing but a backup quarterback at this point either. This season, nobody should be getting reps besides number 8 and number 12 unless of injury. That's it.
Sure.
Make it about those two.
Yeah,
that's
see
your
what you
future.
have.
That's your future.
See what you have.
And that's what I mean about directionless. The
They
whole
are.
point, we all know, is fans of the game. They can tell us whatever they want about this year. There was no expectation to win. They infused the team with a lot of young talent in the draft. They took 2 quarterbacks. If you're not going to win anything this year, you better be taking a step forward at the quarterback position. So going back to a guy that
Absolutely.
was awful here, coming off another long absence, it just makes no sense.
Well, and they said on the morning show, earlier today, great organizations admit their mistakes faster than just prolonging them. Like, what did the 49ers do, for instance? They traded, I think it was a total of 3 first-round picks to move up and grab Trey Lance, and they knew after a year and a half he wasn't the guy.
That guy still in the league?
And went to, if he is, he's a third stringer somewhere.
Okay.
And then they went to mystery relevant because he was better. They didn't just keep putting Trey Lance onto the football field hoping it would work out.
No, and I respect Albert Breer greatly. He's one of my favorite national insiders.
I heard this.
But Albert Breer yesterday said, well, maybe they should go back to Deshaun Watson and see if it worked. I know, it was a long time ago. Albert, he has not been good in 6 years.
He
Come
hasn't
on.
been good literally since 2020. He's played like a total of 3 to 4 good halves of football for us. And we made the trade in March of 2022. It's been almost 3.5 years.
Again, and Nate, I appreciate you're not sitting here laughing at us, but this is the kind of conversations we have to have right now because of where we're at. And again, it should be nothing but 8-12. That's it, unless injury dictates it. And then even then, no 4. Then you go to Bailey Zappi. Never, ever, ever again. It should be Shador's time, and it should be Dylan's time.
Agreed.
Case closed. End of story.
Case Keenum closed.
All right, let's get into the game this week. Now that we talked about all the mess that we're leading up to it, going to Pittsburgh.
Actually, before we get to Browns Steelers, I do want to ask you a controversial. We just haven't talked about it yet, but it has been a controversial discussion amongst Browns fans. The 3rd and 11 play call.
Terrible.
Okay, you agree?
Terrible.
Okay.
Listen, you didn't let the guy throw the ball in the air more than 5 yards the entire game. And then, Kevin, not you, but Stefanski.
Yeah.
Then on 3rd and 11, when the game on the line, Quinshon Judkins is having a phenomenal game. His best yet. People online, including I was watching the game with my dad, we're comparing him to Nick Chubb. You run him the entire game, and then when the game on the line, you take the ball out of his hands, put it in Dylan Gabriel's, and decide that the best thing you have to offer is a streak to Isaiah Bond that goes 16 rows out of bounds. I mean, what?
My whole thing, it wasn't necessarily that they took the game out of Judkins' hands, because if you remember 1st and 2nd down, they went right to the run game, and then it was 3rd and 11 because the Vikings kind of had a feeling that that's what they were going to do. But at that point, you have committed to making the Vikings use their timeouts. Like at that point, it's like, okay, if you throw an incomplete pass, it's a complete waste of a series. Of course, we throw an incomplete pass, and we took a total of 4 seconds, I want to say, off the game clock.
Yeah, right.
And then just give the ball right back to the Vikings.
You gave O'Connell a free timeout.
Yeah.
Is all you did. And if you look at
you really gave him more than a free timeout.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about the next series and how the clock was managed.
Oh, absolutely. It was a disgusting display of football.
And on top of that, and listen, if we're firing criticisms all things orange and brown, so let's keep it going. And then Kevin Stefanski, you decide that, clearly at this point, they're going to score. Like they're at least going to get a field goal because I don't know. Obviously didn't play out, but at that point, the Vikings kicker had already missed one. You're so close to the end zone. I don't think he's going to miss another one.
Sure.
At this point, you're probably going to overtime. Just whatever you do, don't lose the game yet. And then when you can take a 10-second runoff on a penalty, you decide to not take the 10-second runoff. That gives them less time to the point where, okay, at that point, there was 25 seconds left.
They're probably playing for the field goal at that point.
You take that 10-second runoff, they have, 1 to 2 more shots at the end zone? The way Kevin Stefanski managed that game down the stretch was abysmal.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
And every criticism that's been hurled at him this week for that should be hurled. And by the way, while we're criticizing him, we have not scored more than 20 points. That's standard. That's standard operating procedure since freaking Jameis Winston was the quarterback last year. You got to be kidding me. This guy's supposed to be an offensive guru.
I was going to say that.
I've defended Stefanski endlessly throughout time. But it's time to start looking at this guy, right? It's 6 years. The offense can't get 20 points in the NFL today. The rules are made to give you 20 damn points.
Yeah, no, Jerome, I absolutely completely agree with you. I've been one of those guys, if you're a loyal listener to the program, I've been constantly defending Kevin Stefanski for now 48 episodes previously. I can't really find any way to defend him anymore. On whether it's time management things, which typically I do agree with him. I still like that he's pretty aggressive when it comes to the 4th downs when he's in when there's 5-10 yards to go to the end zone. I do like that, but to your point, Jerome, him being an offensive guru of what they're trying to pitch this fan base on, and you can't score 20 points, it's unacceptable. And Quinshon Judkins did get a very long touchdown taken away from him this past Sunday, which I still think was a very ticky-tack holding call. But again, I mean, you can still put your team in better positions than what you did at the end of that game in order for them to come out with a win.
Absolutely. And, I'm going to throw this out there too, because it just goes back to how stupid that play call was on 3rd and 11. Okay, so I watched the all 22 of that. You run, Jerry Jeudy gets doubled right off the line, right? Like he's got 2 guys on him, so you can't go there. That's going to result in the pick. Isaiah Bond runs, a streak down the field, but he never really got open. And then you ran a couple little, routes that I think Judkins ran out in the flat, and I think Njoku ran into the flat. So you go there, and listen, maybe, and I'm again, Stefanski's play call was stupid to begin with, but even if you go to one of those things in the flat, and Judkins, let's say, loses 6 yards, and he gets blasted by a linebacker, and Njoku gets maybe 3 or 4 yards, and he gets blasted by somebody, then again, you still force Kevin O'Connell to call a timeout. You gave him one for free. And I don't know, like, Kevin Stefanski is, I feel like should be getting better with like, he's been a head coach for now 6 years in the National Football League. I feel like the guy's getting worse with time. And I don't know if that's because the rosters aren't as good as they used to be. Like, there's a lot of factors that we can dive into on some other episode.
I mean, I was going to say, as a gist, I think this is probably the worst offensive line he's ever had, worst receiving core, and probably worst quarterback room he's had in the 5-6 seasons he's been here.
Right. But either way, in order to combat all that, you have to be better as a coach. And he's getting worse along with everything else. So it's a disaster. It's an epic disaster. So, I mean, Nate, I know you're a big football fan. You had to be watching that game on Sunday just as a mutual, like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, it was terrible mismanagement of the game, and I agree with your critiques. This is definitely one of the worst teams he's had. It feels like there's very little expectation from anybody in that building to win football games right now. Yeah. But the things we're talking about have nothing to do with roster construction. You know what I mean? You have to be able to manage the clock down the stretch. You're playing an international football game. The fans don't have a lot to be happy about right now. To lay an egg like that in the last minute and a half of that game, 2 minutes, is absurd. So,
well, absolutely. And the Browns, to your point, don't have a lot of talent, because I'm watching that game with my dad, and the whole time we're watching, the Browns had control of that game, what felt like the entire game. But the whole time, my dad and I are watching it, and we're like, okay, the Browns this bad that they've dominated the entire game, and they can't get up by more than 7.
Yeah, they can't pull away.
They cannot pull away. Yeah. And then you're in a position where you end up giving it away, and your coach does nothing but hand it to Kevin was that Kevin Stefanski? I mean, he spent 14 years in the Vikings organization. He rose to the ranks there. He started by wiping Brad Childress's ass and getting him coffee, and ended up becoming the offensive coordinator. Like, was this your, like, thank you, Vikings? Like, what the hell were you thinking?
I don't know.
Was this your, you guys got my coaching ranks started. If you give me 14 years in the organization, here you go. Here's the game for you. Thanks for everything you did for me. Like, what? I was pissed. And I shouldn't get pissed anymore. I should know what's coming. I've watched a quarter century of it, right? I shouldn't get pissed. I was so mad that my dad and I ended up going to the Home Depot and doing a project together. We didn't even. Nice. we quit watching football for the day.
Father-son bonding time for you.
We went to the Home Depot. So we're done with this football shit. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, not you.
Unpaid testimonial to Home Depot.
Yeah. Send me some money, Arthur Blank, will you? All right. Let's get to the preview of this one. The line started. It opened with the Steelers laying 3.5 at home. Now the Steelers are laying 6.5 at home. I don't know if the trade of Joe Flacco really moved the line. No, there's probably a couple other factors too. But needless to say, this is a place that's been nothing but a haunted house for the Browns. And they have not won there in the regular season since Tim Couch was the starting quarterback. Nate, as a Steelers fan, you got to have some confidence that no matter what happens, you guys will figure out a way to come on top, right?
Yeah, I don't feel super comfortable about it, though. I think the spread's a little bit big. I think we know how these Steelers-Browns games tend to go one way or the other. And I also think history, if I'm going to let history be my guide, anytime the Steelers have an opportunity where they're sitting in the division right now at 3-1, a couple games ahead of everybody else, all three other teams are just in the slums right now.
Right.
They have a chance to put their foot on the gas, put the foot on everyone else's neck, and they have a hard time doing that. So I do think it's a game they should win, but I'd be lying if I said I was super comfortable.
Kevin?
Interesting. I'm not confident as a Browns fan going into this game. Jerome, like you said, this has basically been a house of horrors for this organization. You know, outside of our one win in that stadium in the last 20 years,
There was nobody there.
With nobody there. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to take the Steelers. I think it could get out of. I think it's going to be one of those Lions-Ravens type games that we had earlier this year, Jerome, where we're within a touchdown for basically 2.5 quarters, and then I think the Steelers start pulling away end of the third quarter, going into the fourth. I think Steelers win by 10.
Well, if we want to really start talking, breaking down the X's and O's here, I'll tell you what worries me is I'm glad to see Jack Conklin's back. He played very well in London, thank God, because if not, if you had Cornelius Lucas and the left tackle combination of Cam Robinson and KT Turnstile, I think they might get 10 sacks. So at least you're good on the one side, which is actually more important than it ever has been because Gabriel's a rare lefty.
Correct.
Right? That's his blind side. So now you're at least got something to hold up there. But I worry about the likes of the other side of Watt. Now that's, Jack Sawyer, Nick Herbig, and Alex Highsmith's going to be back for you guys. Those guys are going to eat alive. It better be a lot of quick passing, a lot of running, because you're not going to have a lot of time with Robinson and KT Levinston going up against those pass rushers, Nate, which you got a nice little rotation there with, three other guys outside of Watt who can successfully get to the quarterback and at a premium level.
Yeah, they're getting back Alex Highsmith this week, who's missed a few games with an ankle injury. But Nick Herbig's really been, if I had to pick the best player so far on the Steelers this year, it would probably be Nick Herbig. I believe he's actually leading the league right now in every Browns fan's favorite stat, pass rush win rate.
That's right.
But seriously, he's the only player in the NFL right now that has an interception and 8 quarterback hits. He's got 2.5 sacks in the 3 games he's started. So really, he's been a force. Undersized guy, classic. Honestly, undersized even for a 3-4 outside linebacker, but he's just quick off the edge. He's been great. So having him and Highsmith able to rotate together is going to be really great for that front seven.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Browns are probably going to have to, on that left side, keep in a little Harold Fannin, keeping Njoku to block somewhat. So, otherwise, they're going to eat those guys alive. And, the thing is, I still think the Browns should be able to run the ball somewhat effectively because they do have a great interior of the offensive line. Like we talked about, the Browns have 3/5 of a line. Now with Conklin back 4, but the most important spot on the line is a clear absolute black hole for them this year. But from your point of view, how's the Steelers' run defense been so far? Should Quinshon Judkins be able to eat and continue dominating like he has been?
Well, the first 2 weeks of this season, the Steelers' run defense was uncharacteristically bad. Really bad. But the last 2 weeks, they didn't play, but the last 2 games they played, it's been a bit better. That being said, I'm definitely concerned about Judkins. That guy is a serious player. I think he's definitely going to be able to find some success against this defense, especially with the interior of your line being so strong. Our inside linebackers have a hard time getting off blocks, blowing up, guards, especially of the caliber the Browns have. So I would not be surprised to see Quinshon Judkins continue to run the ball well against the Steelers' defense.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, looking at this game from the other side of view, Broderick Jones. I'm not a Steelers fan, but anytime I look at Steelers stuff online, a lot of criticism of that guy. Has he gotten any better, and should Myles Garrett be able to eat?
Yeah, all offseason I've been telling these guys, I've been waking up in cold sweats thinking about Broderick Jones having to play against Myles Garrett. And especially granted that, we have an immobile quarterback essentially. But so when the Steelers played the Vikings a few weeks ago in Ireland, one of the things they kind of implemented was both having a 6th offensive lineman and Darnell Washington on the field, who's essentially an extra tackle, is a 300-pound tight end.
Yeah,
I like Washington.
Yeah, he's he's a great blocker in my opinion. He's probably the best blocking tight end in the entire NFL. So I think Myles Garrett is going to see a lot of triple teams. And if I'm the Steelers, I'm fine letting Myles Garrett get his triple team clips up on Twitter and social media this week. That guy needs to have 4 hands on a minimum at all time. Otherwise, yes, he will absolutely wreck the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because if they do the triple teams, Mason Graham's been pretty good with the pass rush this year so far. Isaiah McGuire, that's a guy that Jerome and I really talked up, this offseason. It's a guy I've been high on kind of since we've drafted him. He's played very well this year as well.
I thought Alex Wright last week had his best game.
Alex Wright is such an interesting player because he's such a good run defender, and then he has those random plays where he gets to the quarterback with what seems like in like a second and a half, 2 seconds. Great player, and then obviously the rotation we have with the defensive tackles. So it's going to be interesting to see how our defensive line comes to play. It's going to be interesting.
The other thing that I thought was interesting was the first 4 games of the year, the Browns' run defense was absolutely phenomenal, and Kevin O'Connell, being the great offensive mind he was able to exploit the Schwartz defense. And I thought, even though they forced 2 fumbles, I thought the Browns' run defense for the first time last year looked a little average. Like, they did not look dominant like they did the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I would say that's a safe statement.
And I know that Kenneth Gainwell's coming off a big game, and the Steelers expect to get Warren back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. But and like I said, I expect them to implement a lot of extra linemen and tight end on the field. But I would be surprised if the Steelers have a ton of success running the ball against this Browns front. And that's one of the reasons I think the game will be close, because I think the Steelers have struggled at possessing the football. They're consistently outpossessed, and if they're not able to run the ball, I think it's going to put Aaron Rodgers in a lot of uncomfortable situations, especially against that pass rush. So
right, and we've sat here and talked about how the Browns are, they're pathetic in a lot of areas. One thing they do have, though, is an elite front 4, and it's not even the front 4 because they rotate and they have depth on that front 4. Those backup guys who come in, they're all players too. Would probably start on a lot of other teams.
Shelby Harris,
Alex Wright,
and Malik Collins is the other starter at defensive tackle, and he's been great this year as well.
Absolutely, and then they rotate a handful of guys in and out of there, and it's one thing that the Browns have built very successfully is an elite defensive line.
Yeah,
and if they're going to go pull the unthinkable upset here, that defensive line is going to have to be after Aaron Rodgers' ass all day long. And like you said, okay, if they triple Myles Garrett, that's fine. From my point of view, I say, all right, I'm Isaiah McGuire, Mason Graham, Alex Wright, Shelby Harris. Time for you fellas to eat now. Get after them, Yeah,
you think we see a Devin Bush revenge game maybe?
I have to say this. There's not been any other time in my life that the Steelers have cast aside someone and the Browns have picked him up and made him anything relevant. I mean, they've tried a few times. Sammy Coates came here. He was pathetic. That's one. There's been a couple other examples. The Browns have actually turned the Steelers' trash into treasure, and Devin Bush is not by any means the best linebacker in the league.
No, he's average.
He's extremely serviceable and average, and I don't think he was that way in Pittsburgh. They've turned him into a decent linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, he was great his rookie year up until he had the season-ending knee injury, and after that, he just wasn't the same. And it was more of I would compare him to how Juan Thornhill was on the Browns, where it really seemed with Devin Bush like it was more of a low-effort thing, an unwillingness to take on blockers, to make tackles. So, yeah, it's interesting. I remember he had some interesting interviews on the Steelers talking about, whether I'm here or not, I'll still be in the league. And I think he got to a point where he realized if he didn't start playing hard again, he wasn't going to be. So, yeah, he's come back alive. But, I'm not going to fear Devin Bush by any means.
Fear him.
I'll tell you this. I remember being at the game last year, and I kind of forgot about the whole, deal that Devin Bush stunk in Pittsburgh, essentially. And I had never heard, a boo for a linebacker tackle in a visiting stadium. I've been to plenty of Browns road games, and it was a simple play. The Steelers had swung the ball out, on a screen pass, and Devin Bush blew it up. And next thing you hear, there are 70,000 yellow rags were booing the hell out of them. And I go, wow. I look at Kevin. I go, I forgot about this whole ordeal. We're sitting
look
there
at my son.
laughing.
Oh, they hate him here.
Yeah, they can't stand that guy.
They traded up 10 picks to get him. I mean, he was supposed to be their Ryan Shazier replacement, and total disappointment.
Well, and it's one of those things, too, with the Steelers. Like, it doesn't matter where you guys are picking. I feel like you guys not necessarily hit home runs with your first rounders, but you guys always find solid players in the first round, it seems like. Like, obviously, T.J. Watt's that's an extreme, but at the very end of the first round, they get T.J. Watt. You know, Cam Hayward's still playing for you guys. He was at the very end of the first round. Just a bunch of players that you guys seem to find that just make instant impacts. So Devin Bush, obviously the one outlier there, but glad he's been a better Brown than a Steeler.
Yeah, we can't.
Not that it's amounted to much.
Yeah,
but.
no, I mean, but like the Browns, that was one of the very first things. They obviously didn't have much cap room, but I want to say the very first day of free agency, their first move was to bring back Devin Bush on another 1-year deal, and it's looking all right. So, all right, prediction time. What do you got?
I got Steelers 23, Browns 13.
All right, Nate.
Just to quickly summarize, I think the Browns, if they can possess the football, Gabriel can be efficient in the short pass game. They can run it. They're going to keep this close. I think the defense will keep them in the game. I think the Steelers end up winning 21-17.
All right, and I'm on Nate's boat. I think the Browns cover but don't win. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Browns don't score over 20 points. We know that. That's just not allowed here. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Steelers win the game 19-16. So,
okay.
All right, we'll see what happens. And actually, we'll all be together watching the game on Sunday, so that should be fun, something to look forward to. All right, we have college football picks to get to. Let's start with my Buckeyes. A dominating effort at home against the Golden Gophers. They absolutely smash them. 42-3. Julian Saint, I watched the game start to finish, made a hell of a lot of nice NFL-style throws. He looked really good. This week, the challenge is a little bit bigger, though. They go on the road to face ranked Fighting Illini. It's the first time they've played the Fighting Illini in 8 years. Ohio State, 14.5-point favorites. I think the Fighting Illini keep this close for a half, and then the Buckeyes' talent just becomes too much. I like the Ohio State University to win and cover.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm not too familiar with the Fighting Illini roster, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. So, but I do like the Buckeyes here. I think there's just too much star power. Number 1 team in the country. I like them to win by a few touchdowns as well. To cover and win.
14.5 is the line the Buckeyes are laying on the road in Champaign. Nate?
Yeah, this Illinois team's tough. They've already played in some big football games this year, but I think Ohio State is proving why they're the number 1 team. Again, I'm super impressed with Sayan's play. So, I'll take Ohio State to cover.
All right. Okay, number 8, Bama. Boy, they've had a resurgence. Everybody said, what the hell's wrong with Alabama? Week 1, they lose to Florida State. They've come back nicely. They have a ranked matchup at home in Tuscaloosa. Beat Vanderbilt by double digits last week, 30-16. They have another one here. They're on the road at 14th ranked Mizzou, a SEC conference matchup. Bama laying 3.5 on the road. Guys, I know Mizzou, they're going to be pumped up out there, but I got to tell you, I like what I'm seeing from Alabama. And Ty Simpson, outside of Julian Saint, looks like one of the better quarterbacks in the country. I like Alabama to win and cover on the road.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the spread is that low, to be honest with you. I think Alabama's been – I think that loss was really a wake-up call to them, and they've been really playing with a chip on their shoulder. I think they're going to come out guns a-blazing and win by 10-14. I like them to cover and win as well.
All right.
Yeah, I had low expectations for Bama coming into this year, to be quite honest. I've been impressed with them recently, but I actually think I'm going to take Mizzou straight up in this game.
Wow. Mizzou.
Underdog money line.
Yeah, how about that?
Put it on the slip. Put it on the slip.
Special. Nate's got the upset special pick.
Special.
All right. And then we see number 7, Indiana, led by the quarterback. Many Browns fans are interested in.
Fernando Mendoza, baby.
Yep. And the Cal transfer has looked good. To Nate's point, when Illinois did play Indiana earlier this year, Indiana beat the crap out of Illinois. That was a ranked matchup a handful of weeks ago, Saturday night primetime. Indiana, though, this is their toughest test. This ain't no Fighting Illini. They're going to face the number 3 ranked Oregon Ducks and Dante Moore, another quarterback many Browns fans might be interested in seeing. If you are a Browns fan and you do not think anything of Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders and want them to draft a quarterback in the first round, I suggest your eyes are glued to this one on Saturday. These are two of the top quarterbacks in the country. Game is out there in Eugene. Ducks laying 7.5 at home. How about this? I'm going to take Indiana plus the 7.5. I think they lose in a nail biter, but I like them to cover on the road.
Yeah, so I think Indiana's going to keep this game close, much like my prediction for Browns Steelers this week. I think Indiana's going to keep this close for a little bit over 3 quarters, and I think their star power is just going to take over in that fourth quarter. I'm going to take the Ducks to win and cover. Although I really hope Fernando Mendoza looks good.
So you're taking the Ducks to lay the 7.5 at home. Interesting.
I am.
I don't like that, but that's okay. Nate?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I understand the Mendoza hype. I think people need to take a step back and look at his full career, not just what he's done so far this year.
Right.
That being said, I have been super impressed with Indiana. I will take them to cover, but not to win.
All right, we're on the same page on that one. And then finally, we put this one on here for Kevin. And, me too, because I do like this team that they're playing. The North Carolina State Wolfpack at 4-2 unranked. They go into Notre Dame. And, Kevin, what is Notre Dame ranked now?
They're 16.
They are 16. Notre Dame, a huge spread here, laying 23.5 out there in South Bend. I think that's way too many points. NC State's no slums. They're a decent team. I like the Wolfpack to cover the plus 23.5 and lose by a touchdown or so.
Yeah, so I think Notre Dame's going to win by more than a touchdown, but I don't see them winning by more than 3 touchdowns. I'm going to take Notre Dame to win, but not to cover. NC State's always that team. They always finish around 8-4. They put up a good fight. I feel like I never see them get blown out or they blow out another opponent, really. But Notre Dame's known to kind of fall into that trap game.
This is a big game for them too, because if you're done here, you're done.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah. Notre Dame loses one more game. I mean, granted, their 2 losses are to 2 top 5 teams by a combined 4 points. So I mean, they have the best 2 losses that you could really ask for, but you still have 2 losses. You get that 3rd loss, you're done. I think Notre Dame wins by 2 touchdowns. Notre Dame wins, they don't cover.
So you like NC State plus the 23.5. Nate?
Correct.
Yeah, 23.5 is just a lot of points for this Notre Dame team. I think NC State's feisty enough, that they could keep it close for about a half or so. So I will take NC State plus the points.
Plus, yeah. I know Notre Dame does defend the run well, but Hollywood Smothers is one of the best running backs in the country.
Notre Dame's defense has been horrible since Golden left for the Bengals. It's Notre Dame just hasn't had the same defense.
The former Buckeyes defensive coordinator who I couldn't
Chris
stand.
Ash.
Yeah, that's right, Chris Ash. Yep. His actual name's Ash, but no, Chris Ash.
No, he's been horrible. I feel like we're giving up 30 points weekly, except for this past week, only gave up 7 against the Boise State Broncos.
All right, so it's time for the end of the show here, which means we got to let you out off the road on some odds and ends. Start with Mark Sanchez. I don't know all the details, but it sounds like Mark Sanchez was the aggressor, and then the defendant decided to stab him, and Mark Sanchez was not only in the hospital with a stab wound, but he was charged with a felony while he was laying there in the hospital bed in Indianapolis.
I actually also saw a picture of the guy that he had attacked in the hospital. I don't know if either of you two were...
69-year-old guy.
Dude, he literally looked like he carved his face up like the Joker.
Yeah, he did. I mean,
it was deep and gross too. It was
apparently Mark
brutal.
Sanchez was like drunk, stumbling around after leaving a bar, and he stumbled into a guy who was like refueling his truck, either refueling or he was delivering something somewhere. But anyway, it was a guy who was working, a truck driver, and apparently Mark Sanchez confronted him and was like telling him he needed to move his truck and all this stuff. And eventually Mark Sanchez started beating the hell out of him. So this guy, had a knife. Truck driver, maybe you're in sketchy places, whatever, felt like he needed to defend himself with it. Sanchez took it from him, stabbed the guy, and then stabbed him in his face. I mean, absolutely absurd from a guy that, we've all seen playing in football games, and I think he was still employed by Fox.
Yeah, that's why he wasn't in Indianapolis.
Exactly.
He was scheduled to call the Colts, and I forget who the hell they were playing. the Colts game on that Sunday. And Kevin, shining moment for you. Your buddy Brady Quinn got to fill in for him.
No, Brady's a good host. Yeah, Brady's good. We like Brady Quinn.
But yeah, terrible by Mark Sanchez.
Horrible.
Don't want to. But so prayers out to the victim's family.
Absolutely.
I mean, just terrible thing from a guy that has been a public figure. He never liked to see
Absolutely.
it.
All the way back to his USC days. He was, he's been in the public eye for a long time. And Mark Sanchez also, I think that no matter what comes out of this, he might be getting some jail time for one, and for two,
I don't think we'll see him on a broadcast again.
I was just going to say, his job at Fox is terminated, I would assume.
100%.
I can't see them putting him back on the air.
I think he's charged with felony battery, so we all know
he's
what happens when
toast.
some of these guys go into a courtroom. I won't be surprised if he gets off
Yeah,
easy. I don't know if we'll see jail
With some
time, but
probation.
he definitely should be seeing some jail time.
Absolutely.
I would think so.
Absolutely. The hockey season's underway as well. Nate, all three of our teams played last night that we all root for, but hockey season got underway. So, obviously without Cleveland having a team, we're not, going to give you updates.
Too big of a hockey market.
Yeah, we're not going to give you updates routinely on the NHL, but it is underway for those of you who like a little bit of puck action, which I think all three of us do. So
Yeah, I like it come playoff time specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great playoff sport. And then finally, something that more of you would be interested in. The Cavs are back underway already. It's preseason time. They lost to the Bulls last night. I'd be perfectly honest with you. I got nothing to add here because I didn't watch a second last
No, I didn't
night.
watch. I mean, I watched some of the highlights today. Obviously, Jerome, you and I being roommates, we were watching some playoff baseball and hockey last night. Nate, I know you said that you had done that last night as well. But I did see Jalen Tyson and Tyrese Proctor looked very good. I'm hoping Jalen Tyson, going back to the Isaac Okoro days of our Cleveland Cavaliers, I always wanted him to be kind of that Lou Dort type of guy, play amazing defense and just hit the open shot. If that's who Jalen Tyson is, please.
Yeah, absolutely. They can use a nice jump from year 1 to 2 from him.
Absolutely.
And I think, you don't expect too much out of him because this is a pretty loaded roster, but if he can be another contributing bench piece, that's more than welcome. We welcome any contributions from Jalen.
And I mean, if he gets 10 to 15 minutes a night, I think 15 minutes would be on the very high end of that, but I'd like to see him out there in some routinely regular minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the time that Kenny's going to figure out, even when you go into the NBA regular season, your rotation that you start at the beginning of the year is never your rotation
Correct.
by May and June.
And this team's deep. I saw that the Cavs were still inquiring on Malik Beasley's availability as well.
That'd be nice.
I mean, it would, but at the same time, I don't know how you plan on playing all these guys. There's a lot of guys that you have, like Sam Merrill, you just gave a pretty decent sized contract to. Where does he fit in if you get Malik Beasley? I mean, Beasley's playing over him for sure, right?
You would think, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'll be interesting. I'm excited for Cavs season.
Not much to
though.
say, but yeah,
No.
basketball season's right around the corner already. And quick off season, it felt like,
Yeah.
So we'll see. Nate, anything to add there?
No, not really. Excited to see Proctor though. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, you don't expect. Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the three of us were actually together when we drafted Proctor, if you remember.
Yeah,
At
we
the
were all very
Lakewood
ecstatic.
establishment.
Yeah,
That's
we were
right.
all
And
very
I-
ecstatic too.
And
Yeah.
Tyrese Proctor was a damn good college player.
Yeah.
Who had a good career at Duke, and not that it always translates to the NBA, but I like guys who had some success at the collegiate level. I think
Of
that
course.
always helps out. So. All right. Well, thanks, Nate, for being a guest. You did a hell of a job tonight, and thanks for giving us the Pittsburgh point of view as we look to another Browns-Steelers matchup as the rivalry is renewed for another rendition of it. Thanks again for everything you did. Kevin, good job out of you. Derek,
Thanks.
good job
You
behind the
too.
glass. And then, of course, make sure the audience, you need to do a good job, too. Make sure to follow us on our social medias at CLE Sports Realm.
That's right.
And we'll have some stuff there for you to view this week. Thanks again, and we'll see you for another episode next week. It is the half-century mark next week. We'll be back for episode 50. Have a great night, everybody, and go Browns.
Go Brownies.